And if you do not like what's going on in our city and you have not voted, you are part of the problem.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I'm doing this, because I want them to be educated on who the best candidate is.
So, if you see, look for the chicken suits.
Chicken suits. That just blows my mind.
Well, it stands out.
It stands out. Yeah, if it works, it works.
So, but with the government, once they take power, they rarely give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Really record? Keep coming back.
Yeah.
Keep coming back to it. Like, did I really do it? I don't know. I for sure hit it. I have to tell myself, you did it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Record here. I'm recording on that. And we're recording on this. And everything is recording.
Perfect.
We've got this rolling. Okay, that's rolling. Let me take this, put this on, and then if you get really close to it, and again, you can kind of twirl this, like you can kind of like bend it over, like
Gotcha.
bend it like this. But really, what this does is like kind of gives us really good, clean audio.
Okay.
I usually like to kind of like get a little bit right here, or maybe you can move your chair just a tad, little bit right there, and then lift it up a little bit,
all right.
like that. But let me just make sure that you're in frame like that. That's much better. I feel like.
Yeah, perfect.
And let me just like that.
All right.
There you go, like that.
Perfect.
And then let me just make sure now we're still in focus. Now that you moved slightly there, because any micro movements here, it's like, all right, now we're in focus, Bam. Golden. All right. Okay, here we go. And clap. This makes us, some people are probably wondering, like, why am I clapping,
Yeah.
on all these podcasts? It makes it so that, like, the audio syncs up on all of them. So
Yeah.
when you see, like, the movie, they have that, they're just syncing up the audio pretty much.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
That's what the clap is for. But anyways, welcome to another podcast. We're still talking to Twin Falls City candidates. Today I have Michael, right?
Correct.
And Michael, what's your last name?
Allred.
Michael Allred. Perfect. And, I'm very happy about this because now I've talked to everybody that's part of seat number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I've collected all the Pokemon,
Yeah, and I would say I really do like all the candidates that are running. You might not hear that from somebody who's running for a city council, but I do think for the most part we all have similar campaigns. I'd say we have different deviations from the middle.
Yeah, I would say it's a good bunch. It's a good bunch of people. And I'm just glad that I got to talk to everybody because, like, this is the first time ever where I'm like, I know who all of these people are. And a lot of times I feel like people don't know that,
No, and unfortunately, most people will vote on name recognition and don't really get into the details of what their platform is. I think we have a tendency to go with what's comfortable, what's already known.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I know this name. I'm going to vote for this. But you don't really know where they stand on issues and so forth. I was kind of thinking about some stuff over the weekend. And I was actually editing in one of the podcasts. And then I was like, I was almost preparing for you. And
that's the advantage of going last.
Yeah. Well, going last in your group. I still have all of these other candidates from seat number 1. Yeah. I have 3 candidates coming in on one day to do this. This is going to be nuts. I'm going to have to get my cameras ready to go and one after another one. You know,
when that happens, I don't know if you hit that point where your brain's just buzzing and you're like, I gotta escape.
Yeah. But this is what I came up with. I almost kind of have like a new strategy now. This is what my new strategy is now. I've determined some questions that are important to me, and now I kind of want to know what everybody's answer is on these, right?
Yeah.
And then essentially, I'm thinking of this as like a logical way of picking who is the best candidate because they align with me the most, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, people can get in touch with you as well they have like a contact on the website.
They have it on the city website. I think for Seat 5, I'm the only one with a web page, which is tfseat5.com. I like to keep things super simple.
Oh, you got a website too? I didn't really go check out your website. You were like, you would think I would do that much research, but no. This was more kind of like what I was doing was, I was kind of like figuring out what I wanted to go ahead and get answered, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I like to kind of go in these things not knowing anything about you because I'd rather have you tell me, versus like, well, you say this on your website. What do you mean by that? You know?
Yeah. You can definitely tell when interviews are scripted and not quite as exciting.
Yeah, I never want this to be scripted. I really almost don't want you to even know the questions, nothing, you know what I mean? But you may have seen some of the other podcasts, which kind of tells you what they are, essentially. But have you looked at any of the other ones that I've done?
I have looked at bits and pieces of them.
They're long.
But one of the challenges that I do have is that I have 4 burners, and every day my burners are full as far as my family obligations. And I don't want to say obligations because they're not an obligation. They are a blessing. But, a lot of community work and stuff I like to do throughout the city.
Yeah.
So when I get these bits and pieces of time, I will go and check out as much as I can.
Yeah.
But again, I like to be in a more candid situation and not know what's gonna come up, because that is life. We don't have a plan for everything.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So let me see if we can knock this out. This would be amazing if we could knock out all of these questions, and then I'll go back into some generic questions. I guess what I want to first start off with is, can you tell me a little bit about you, like your background, who you are, what you do, things like that?
Yeah. So I was born in a exceptionally large family. I am one of 24 children, as I see it. When I was born, my father actually had 3 wives. We were a polygamous Mormon cult. But I was 3 when my mother left polygamy, and actually all 3 wives left my father about the same day.
Yeah, that's an interesting background. What else can you say about that?
Well, people ask, like, is it weird having so many brothers and sisters?
Yeah, that's so many brothers and sisters. Like, how many presents do you gotta buy?
So we do an alternating list. Like, you just
really?
get one family member, a year, and then your favorite ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That would be like, I'm spending all my income on the family birthdays.
So people ask, is it weird growing up with so many brothers and sisters? And I mean, it's normal. That was my normal, was having a really, really big family. And,
okay.
It definitely had its blessings and its curses when you come from a family of that size.
Oh, okay. And did you grow up here in Twin Falls, or where did you grow up?
No, I grew up in the Salt Lake Valley primarily. You would actually be surprised as to how much or how large the polygamous Mormon population is there.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, I mean, I used to live in Salt Lake City, but I was just kind of like in, the center of Twin, like over there, essentially. I just had like a job over there. It's like a 9-to-5 kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of them, they reside in the Bluffdale area.
Okay.
You do have a pretty large group in central Utah. The southern Utah group, we call them the Colorado City. We call them Crickers. So we have kind of nicknames for the different groups.
And when did you move to Twin Falls, I guess?
So I moved to Twin Falls about 5 years ago.
And what made you kind of want to move here, I guess? Why was like, ooh, Twin Falls? That's so cool.
Well, I grew up... My grandparents actually were born in Burley and Rupert. My grandpa was on the poor side of the tracks, my grandmother on the rich side of the tracks. And there was a bit of a history that happened with my grandfather, and he ended up deciding to move the family to Salt Lake. So we would come up here for family reunions often.
Oh, okay.
And my mother would always call Idaho the promised land.
Oh,
and
yeah.
swore that we'd always move back up here.
And here you are.
But yeah, about 5 years ago, I was living in Portland, and I did not want to raise a family there. I could see which way the city was going and how things were headed. And so I told my wife, I'm like, I do not want to raise our family here. Now, my mother still lived in the Salt Lake Valley, and she has MS. And I wanted to have her grandchildren much closer to her, just kind of these golden years. And we ended up, I decided on Twin Falls because it's closer to the Salt Lake Valley. I already had a sibling here with some children, and well, all my siblings actually ended up moving here to Twin Falls, and my mother moved here to Twin Falls. So, well, we all ended up here anyways.
Here we are. Yeah, interesting. And I guess what made you want to run for office? Like, where did you get this idea? Like, I'm gonna put my name in the ballot itself.
So I've always been very interested in politics, or I always pay attention, better said. Growing up, watching the news and how the news projects stories, I've known since I was a little kid it's not the truth. So with the double-edged sword of being born in a polygamous family, I grew up watching people that I knew, that I know personally on the History Channel, on the news, documentaries and stuff like that, and the truth, and how these people are, and I'd watch how the media would project.
Yeah, portray them, yeah,
absolutely, with, how do you say, like a preconceived notion of what they wanted to make that person look like, and they would...
Yeah, it's what's interesting is when I do video editing, I already know exactly how I want to portray that video, how I want it to play out, or so forth. So it almost kind of seems like whoever's doing the video itself, they already have an idea what they want it to play out.
Yeah, exactly. So I refuse to be one of those people that just stand at the sideline and do nothing. That if I see something wrong, and I really like the Dan Bongino quote that you are the change that you have been waiting for. I have always taken responsibility and believe that I will make the change where I can.
Yeah.
And that has started out because I grew up in for much of my childhood, a fatherless home. Like, I do reach out to, kids who are struggling that do not have a male figure in their home. There's just an emptiness there when you have that huge figure missing in your life.
Yeah.
But so here in the local politics, one of the he's actually the union leader for the fire department when they were going and asking for bonds.
Yeah.
Now, our first responders, they have a very, very complex job. I remember, and I've shared this before, but 2 days after my 16th birthday, I lost, but just such a traumatic situation that there is no getting used to it. So our first responders, our firefighters, they're dealing with very high traumatic situations on a regular basis. And when they retire often with some major mental health challenges. And I had one of my uncles, recently admit to being, he's a police officer, being suicidal. So the last thing I feel like our fire department should have to do is going door to door, begging, asking
for money. Yeah. I don't think you make a really good point here. Like I've not seen it from that side. What you just said. Nobody. The thing. Yeah. I don't think you make a really good point here. Like I've not seen it from that side. What you just said. Nobody. The thing is, nobody ever phrases it how you just phrased it. You know what I mean? You see them asking for money, like this boot stuff sometimes or something like that. But it's like we as a community should be like, let's give them money because they're dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just take that burden off their back of just ensuring they have enough resources.
Now,
there's a balance. You can't give, we can't just give them absolutely everything, but they should have enough manpower that if one or two or three of them are sick, that, they're not going to be short-staffed. Or, what would scare me is like if they're in a point where they ever have to like triage calls because they're spread so thin.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So would you say, if you're elected city council, that you would be, wanting to do whatever you can for firefighters and police officers?
Correct. And then also we are facing a shortage with our 911 dispatch that, finding the right staff, it's a long interview process and a long training process. And it takes a lot of work for each one of those 911 operators. So that department just needs to be well taken care of. A community that has a well-funded, first responders and a well-functioning first responder force is a prosperous community.
Yeah.
Like it is a matter of public safety, and when we have public safety, businesses flourish, our children flourishes, and the community all the way around.
Gotcha. So basically, is that what really triggered you to then basically like, I want to get into politics and local politics?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's a really good answer. I mean, I like what your mindset is at. Let me jump into one of these little simple questions. And this is how I'm logically doing this. Is I have like this in a spreadsheet, right? And then I'm like, okay, if he says yes, I'll give this a green. And if he says no, then I'll give this a red. And if it's a yes, no kind of deal, then, where there is no answer, then I put you in this category. You know what I mean? It's like, oh boy,
Well, so, I think a lot of city government are questions or responses that are going to be in that yellow category.
In the yes, no, like in nothing, you mean?
Well, not yes or no, but like...
Kind of like in the gray?
The gray in that with the government, it's not always good decision versus bad decision. A lot of the decisions that I think we have to make as a government is the difference between a bad decision and a worse decision. And what's going to be the least...
which one? I see what you're saying. This is what I wrote down is, here's one of them. Is graffiti a concern for you?
It is, actually. And that is, like when I was down there, I was down on the Snake River Thursday morning. A couple of, the kids that have helped me out on my campaign.
Yeah.
I told them I'd take them fishing.
Yeah.
And it really is sad to me to see, our landscaping being graffitied.
Yeah.
I've actually, one of the things I do plan on putting together, I do an activity day group every Tuesday with the boys' age group goes from 7 turning 8 to age 11, and there's about 10 to 15 that will show up every week for this. And one of the things I want to do is actually go and clean graffiti in the in our state parks where people have graffitied our rocks.
State parks everywhere. There's a lot of it. I work for Visit Southern Idaho, and we basically kind of made an app where people take a photo of where the graffiti's at. Take a photo. The app puts a pin, GPS locations, latitude and longitude, and that's where the graffiti is. But I didn't understand that. It's like yes, here's where the graffiti is. But I didn't know what the next step was. It's like, how do you get this to the right people to go ahead and get it to clean up,
So I think a lot of people are looking to serve. And when you give a direct opportunity that, hey, we are going to have this date and time to go and do some graffiti cleanup.
Yeah.
I think you would be surprised how many people will show up for that call.
Yeah.
One of my challenges has been, with this activity day group that I do is getting a hold of the chemicals and actually the monies, needed for those chemicals to actually clean the graffiti.
Do you think the city should be able to at least provide access to some of those chemicals? Because like there is graffiti removal chemicals that they can buy. Why can't they just be like, okay, well, listen, we can maybe help you guys out with giving you some of these chemicals, graffiti removal chemicals to clean up, some of the stuff.
Well, I think the city could, provide a grant to help with that. I would love to turn to the private sector,
businesses and so forth.
Turn to the businesses in the community and give them an opportunity to step in and fill that gap.
Yeah.
Some people are not going to be, have the physical health conditions or be able to actually go out there and scrub on rocks all day.
Yeah.
But there's, that's another place where I think the community, there's an opportunity to step up and be a part of the solution.
Yeah. We did a test where we put some of this chemical, it's like graffiti removal. It's like the best thing you can buy. And it was just a pressure washer. So you just put it on, pressure wash it, and it just went away. It blew my mind. I was like, this is the solution,
Yeah.
You don't have to scrub for hours, but it was interesting to see it go. So I'm going to put a yes that you do want to try to get this.
No, that is one of the things I have thought about, and I have thought about several times throughout this last couple of years.
You're not a no, or this is no gray area. Yeah, you definitely want the graffiti to be removed. So I'll put you in the yes category here. Now, here's another one. I've been always asking candidates about this. I go to the dog park. I don't know if you have any pets or anything like that.
I have had lots of pets. Currently, I have 2 cats.
2 cats?
2 cats, a rabbit, a couple catfish, a couple goldfish, a couple crayfish.
No dogs, though, right?
Until my wife says yes.
No until your wife says yes. I feel like everybody needs to get a dog. I think me having a dog is the best thing ever. It's like the best thing that I've ever gotten, I feel like,
I think dogs are the ultimate example of unconditional love.
Yes.
And when you are having an absolutely horrible day and you are feeling just totally worthless, like you fell at everything, you come home and you have that dog, and you haven't failed your dog. He is so happy to see you.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. Now, don't you think that they deserve to have a good dog park? Like what I wrote down here is like, do you think the dog park needs any improvements? Is what I wrote down. And I know you probably haven't ever been to the dog park.
I absolutely have not been to the dog park. I think dogs should be allowed to go absolutely everywhere, so long as it doesn't provide, I don't want a dog inside the restaurant that's gonna, potentially contaminate our cleaning or
food and
our
stuff
food
like
area.
That. Yeah.
But again, I would like to see the community step up and take on that responsibility that we can't.
You don't think Parks and Rec, because they have a dedicated budget to fix all of the parks and so forth. I guess basically what I'm kind of saying is do you think some part of the city's budget, Parks and Rec budget, should be allocated to that, or do you think it would be better to go ahead and have businesses help out for that?
Well, if that is a priority as far as the Parks and Recreation budget goes, and if that is made known to the Parks and Recreational budget, that we would like to see an improvement in our dog park.
Or
and
any
actually,
of the other parks.
I do know where the dog park is. I have seen it. I have seen people there. But I do think that is absolutely something that they can take on.
Yeah.
Now, I went to one of their meetings, and there is a lot of different projects that they do want to do, and it comes down to what are the priorities? What are the things that we need to fix or we need to improve with our different park facilities?
Yeah.
And from there, where does the dog park fall on that priority list?
Yeah, and it's really hard figuring out where that line is, where the dog park is. So I'm a little bit torn here because I don't have a yes or no here. I would say, are you for yes fixing it or no? I don't understand. Or maybe you think this is in a gray area because you don't know too much.
It's a gray area because I don't know what's broke about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, gray area on that. Because it's... you would really need to kind of see what's going on with it and so forth, you know? Here's another good one here. I did a whole thing about potholes. I don't know if you, back in the day, one of my first videos that kind of went through the roof was potholes. And, I kind of showed people how to report potholes. And I was like, this is great. People need to know about how to report potholes and stuff like that, right? There isn't that many potholes as far as I know anymore. I'm probably sure I'm offending some viewer right now. It's like, well, what about the one in front of my house? You know?
I find potholes tend to show up in the springtime after our winter thaw, and my shocks definitely notice it. I've had to replace I think about once every 2 years, I'm replacing all the shocks on my vehicles because you just hit that one deep pothole and
boom. I've had that happen to me too. Do you think the city, I guess, can still do anything about those potholes?
Actually, I do. I think that's one place where the city and the city council is very responsible. That falls into the infrastructure part of the what the city government's response.
The streets. Fix the streets.
Yeah. So my view on this, what the city council, what we're supposed to be doing is, infrastructure. We got to have good roads.
Yeah.
And we are going to have some challenges in the future on how to pay for it because currently we do not get enough from our current gas tax to pay for all the roads here in Twin Falls. So we are supplementing that with our property taxes. And then, during the daytime, our population here in Twin Falls essentially doubles. And, so we're getting a lot of outside traffic putting on that wear and tear. And the residents here were paying for it.
Yeah, and so not only potholes, I would say almost kind of like some of the street lines, like the painted street lines. Some of them sometimes get really faded, and then like when it rains, you can't even see where the heck you're even going. Do you think, basically what I'm trying to figure out is like, are you pro fixing potholes and street lines?
Absolutely. That would be a major priority to me, is ensuring that we do have good roads and good transit system.
Yeah. I know that they've been in the talks about some kind of bus system or something like that. Because once you hit like a certain population number, then you roll into having buses.
Yeah, we're supposed to have some sort of a metro system. And I've been asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
Now, currently, I don't think our city really, our streets are not designed to have buses on it right now.
Well, think about this, right? So Blue Lakes, where would you pull a bus on there, right? Nowhere. It's impossible. Yeah. But you know what the city's going to have to do? They're going to buy somebody's property on there and then make that like a cutout for the bus itself is basically what's going to happen. So they will make it a way for the buses to be able to pull in and so forth, and people stand around there, so forth. What they're really going to do is they're going to spend like, I don't know, like 100,000 to 500,000 somebody to survey the like city and say, well, we need a bus system here, and then they're going to try to buy out some of these properties. So somebody on Blue Lakes is going to get their property bought out by the city, essentially, and then they're going to make it so it fits, so the bus can pull off of Blue Lakes and get in there, essentially.
So what I really want to look into, like, what is the economic feasibility of that for the city? Like, how much is that going to cost? Because that is going to represent a fixed expense.
Well, that'll come from the federal budget. So we get grants to go ahead and make that happen. So it's not really
to go in and build it, but then who's responsible for paying for the bus drivers?
That's going to be the city.
Exactly. So. And right now, we are pretty close to spending about every tax dollar that we get in.
Yeah, we're in 77 million or something like that is where we're at, 77 million.
Then, with that, we're also facing some pretty strong inflation. But the state, they basically tell us as a city how we can tax. And we can only raise our tax rate 3% each year. And currently, that is way under inflation, the inflationary rate.
Yeah.
So, what is the economic feasibility, and who are we going to have to take from to pay for that busing system?
Yeah.
And that's one of the tough conversations, that this is not a good or bad decision. This is one of those bad and worse decisions.
Yeah. So Yeah, I guess that time will come when you guys will potentially have to go ahead and the city council will have to kind of decide the best option itself. So I think for the busing system, it's a matter of fact of when that's going to happen and how it's going to happen itself. That's what you guys are going to be basically determining and so forth. But the whole busing system wasn't really too concerned of me because like I figured that they're going to just pull off somewhere and then that's still, that'll help out people that need to get around.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people already in Twin Falls, they have a car. I mean, like worst case scenario, you can buy yourself like a junker car that's like $1,000 or so forth, and you can still get around or so forth, But people do need a freeway that don't have a car or something like that, But here's what I really wanted to move over to the next question. So again, for me, what was important was graffiti. Yes. Dog park, gray area because you don't know too much about it. You've never been there. Streets, you like the streets to be, fixed, cleaned up and so forth, right? This is something that popped into my head over the weekend. And it was, I went to Boise. This was pre-COVID stuff, and Boise has giant events, right? Like they bring like giant, famous people that come and have concert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why don't we have that here? Why don't we have famous famous country star singers coming in here and doing a huge concert for like 10,000 people, and the city just loving it.
Well, my answer with that is, those people who are doing those events.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a business, and many of those musicians actually, they no longer make their money from labels; they make their money from the concerts.
Concerts, yeah, ticket sales.
Yeah, ticket sales, and I don't think we have quite the population base here in Twin Falls, or even with the metropolitan.
We're at 54,000 itself. So out of that 54,000, I would feel like who's that famous person that was in Boise, that Keith Brooks or something like that? Yeah. I think what if he came here, right? Where would he go, I guess? Where would we put him to do the concert?
Well, have you ever been to the Speedway up there by the airport?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that could be an awesome concert ground place.
Concert
or location.
Ground. Okay. So what's funny is, so I did this, let me kind of show you this. So in Boise, they have like this amphitheater. It's just kind of like, this is like 300 by 300 feet, essentially. Not that much, but they can put like 10,000 people in here.
Yeah.
Twin Falls does not have something like this, right?
Yeah.
It would be amazing for citizens to go ahead and have something like this.
Yeah.
Because we have like a golf course, like that's kind of like helping the city generate funds and so forth. I mean, there's different places you can put this on. You can put it at this is probably going to piss off some soccer people, like the soccer complex. You don't have to take the whole Sunway soccer complex. You can just take a little chunk of it right there and put an amphitheater there or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, we could even actually do that at the fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds, you can carve out. But the thing is, the fairgrounds is in Filer. We're looking to serve a Twin Falls, so it has to be. We want to go ahead and serve Twin Falls itself, So would you say, basically where I'm going with this is, do you think we need like an outdoor event center that can hold up 10,000 people? So that way, we can have like giant concerts, and it could be anywhere on city property or even a local business can go ahead. Somebody that has got some like an acre of land, they can do it there too. But like if the city could put an event center, would you think that's a good idea? It's essentially a yes, no, or maybe. I don't know.
I don't think right now. I don't think we have enough of the base population to make that sort of investment. I think as our city grows and we do have, and that population does expand enough to where it makes economical sense.
Yeah.
My idea in having different facilities is that if we can at all possible, that it should be self-supporting.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we were to put in a large amphitheater there,
Yeah.
again, that represents a fixed expense.
Yeah, fixed expense. How much is it going to cost? And will it earn its money back for the city itself? I think it would, and I think it would be beneficial for the city itself. Yeah.
And I think that would be a really interesting, and I have had that kind of brought up to me by just different people in my, pre-political running for office days, that one of the complaints that many people have is that there's there's nothing to do. There's no music scene. There's no places to do that. But again, if we did build that amphitheater, that event center, why would we want Garth Brooks to come out and do a concert if they can go and do a concert in Boise and earn even more money? And that's where it comes down to for the different musicians. Where are they going to make the most money? Where are they going to get the best bang for their buck? It goes down to, like I mentioned earlier, we only have 4 burners, and that's all we have to work with. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're coming from is they want the growth to happen in Twin Falls. That's where they're kind of coming from that. So I'm just going to put like a no until it reaches a certain population. And what's that population in your mind? Like 100,000, 200,000? That's when we get an amphitheater?
I think we'll know we're there when we have enough people that are speaking up and being vocal. So I will actually put that on the citizen or on the population, that if that is a change that they want to see, they need to be more vocal, showing up at the city council meetings. I don't know if you've gone to many of them, but that chamber's, kind of a ghost town on most city council meetings.
So you're also saying, like, if the population was like, yeah, we want this cool amphitheater, you would change your mind then, right?
Yeah, I would be much more, willing to support something like that. But again, it has to make the economical sense that, we are gonna hit hard times as a city, and when we do that, we're not only our dollars are gonna shrink that we can spend and we have to distribute. So we do have to be really careful on what we take on, because we need to have a long-term plan for the future for the hard times that are when they will come.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my other questions just essentially relate to that as well. So it's a no, and so it's like now. Another thing is, like, Shoshone Falls, we have it as kind of like a tourist attraction. Essentially, people come to it all the time. Yes. Would you do anything to make sure that the funds it's generating go back into improving itself, or would you be like, let's take that money and just put it back in the general fund?
So I was talking to the gal who runs the Parks and Recreation. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Wendy Davis?
Yeah, that was one of the one of the things I was talking about is, a possibility for generating income, but the amount of money that we actually make from the park, it pays for the road structure in the infrastructure of that park.
Yeah.
So all the funds are essentially they're already used.
Yeah.
That to build roads on those grades, I mean, it's in the millions of dollars. Now I think it would be cool if we did like a, instead of a Shoshone Park Pass, Centennial Park, which I do use it, and this is something that would affect me too if they implemented a bit of a fee system there. That
Centennial Park, where is that at?
That's going down to the golf course.
Oh, you're going down to the golf course itself.
Yeah. Centennial Park, and they have a boat ramp there. I was there.
Yeah. They have the kayak rental there and everything that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great opportunity where we can actually have our parks paying for the parks, and that is done by the people that are using it. Mm-hmm. So
you would think it's a good idea to put some kind of fee system to use Centennial.
Centennial, yes, but it ties in that it connects with like Shoshone Park.
Oh, okay. So then those are two revenue systems.
Yeah, that they're kind of in the same, that they're very much a tourist attraction. Those parks, that we do get a lot of, a huge tourist community. And again, when I say the fee system, so Shoshone Park, when you pay to get in, you're actually paying for your vehicle to get in. You can
walk.
You can walk in there, and that was actually one of the agreements made with the city to the people who donated that land to the city and had it turned into a park.
Yeah, it's like you can either walk in, or you can pay a $5 fee to get in there itself.
That, or you buy the season pass, which is like $25. So I think we could do something similar like that at like Centennial Park. And again, I'm sure I'm making a lot of enemies saying that. But I think it's just a great opportunity, a way to have like our parks pay for themselves and alleviate that part of the budget that we can allocate to different things.
Gotcha. This is a silly one here. Again, this is like it ain't never gonna happen. But I wrote down if those funds that you're talking about earned enough money to go ahead and build some kind of structure to take us from top of Shoshone Falls to the bottom of Shoshone Falls, would you be like, hey, let's do it?
That would be kind of cool.
Being at the bottom. Have you ever been at the bottom?
Bottom of Shoshone Falls? I have. Actually, one of my favorite things to do once a year is I will hike down to Pillar Falls, and then from there, you walk all the way up to Shoshone Falls.
I do that too. It's so cool down there.
Did you bring a fishing rod?
No, I never fished there. I just enjoyed the view, and I'm like in awe from the bottom.
So I went with my son and my nephew, and I think we went in with over 200 worms, and we were catching multiple fish on every worm, and we used every single one of them.
Yeah, it's probably a good fishing spot. Yeah.
Well, nobody fishes it.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a good spot. The probably fish go over there,
So yeah, it is awesome. Now, if you were to go down there at Shoshone Park, I don't even know where you would put.
Oh, I've got some ideas.
Where you put that platform.
I've got some ideas how you could get down. I actually have a secret way of getting from the top of Shoshone Falls. You drive to Shoshone Falls Park, where you see the observatory, and I go straight down. So that way, that walk, bye-bye.
Yeah.
So I just go down, and then I'm at the bottom. But the thing is, I don't really talk about it because you're
going to get some Yahoo who
he's going to
end up in a bad situation.
Yeah, he's going to end up in a situation where they're going to have to call search and rescue itself. So, this secret spot does not exist, people. You know? But, I like the idea of kind of making it easy for people to get down there and have a whole new experience down there.
Yeah.
So I'll put you on a yes on here. Holy smokes, look at that. You're like I never asked anybody about that itself. So I'm going to essentially ask these same exact questions to all of the candidates and see what where they're at, essentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's essentially what gets my vote, is the person with the most yes, essentially, on this, and we kind of go from there. So I'm like, some of them might try to please me or something like that, but hey, I don't care. As long as they say yes to all of these things, then I would be like, you are going to be endorsed by me. You know?
Well, and that's, I certainly like to go out of my way to build bridges and build connections with people, but I'm not gonna say something or do something just to gain favor. And I tell people I'd rather a honest jerk than a nice liar.
Yeah, exactly.
I can trust that jerk a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, if you get elected to be a city council member, do you have what do you hope to accomplish? I know that you said you want to help out the police, the firefighters, right? Is there anything else that pops up into your mind? It's like, man, if I got on city council, I would want to go ahead and accomplish this.
So one of the things I want to accomplish, and I'm sure they do have some things put in place, but I want to, we do have some different bonds that we are paying off, and if we have an opportunity to pay those bonds off early, which we have done with some of them, but let's get the city out of debt.
Yeah,
that is a chain around our neck. But then
I didn't even know that the city had any bonds that it needed to pay off. I thought it was debt free.
We do have some that I was looking at yesterday. I think it's tied with like the waste treatment that we do have some bonds there.
Oh, okay.
But it is tied with the water treatment, and it might be. I know we just paid off a bond that with the drinking water.
Yeah.
That we had to put up. So we do have some bond debt right now, and if we were to pay all of that off early, I mean that would actually save us hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest.
Yeah.
But that is just a fiscal policy that I hold, at my home, that I don't have any debt.
Yeah, pay the debt off immediately. Yeah.
Yes. When I say I don't have debt, I do have a mortgage on one of my, but everything else I have paid for, and it is, there's a lot less stress, a lot less pressure when hard times hit. For my family, for example, we just lost my wife's brother-in-law to COVID.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
And it was nice to be able to let my wife, go and spend, a considerable amount of time just to go and be with family.
The grieving process. Yeah.
So that is the advantage of, being in a good financial situations for when hard times hit. And you look at what's going on with our economy on a national level, like I do think we are going to be headed for a major correction, and as a city, I think we need to have our our finances in a point to where when that does hit, that it doesn't like just completely blow us out of the water, that we are ready and have a plan set for it. So a financial plan like that for the future. And with our infrastructure, they do have, some plans, planning in place, and just, build on that wherever we can, that we have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C for every
kind of like have a here's what might happen. Let's go ahead and plan for it. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any political experience? Like, what's your background in politics? Would this be your first kind of like official job? And I kind of skipped over this. Like, what is it that you do now?
So what I do now, I'm actually I am a tradesman. I do home inspection, and I am very involved in the community just on a personal level, not through any organization.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that if I see a need and I have an opportunity to help with that need, I will step up and just do it. With the politics, I have not served on any boards or any commissions, and that is, goes back down to the four burners. That I'd like to serve in other ways, historically. So, but I'm not.
And what are these four burners? I know it said family.
So you have a stove. Oh, my four burners.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what these are.
So, my first priority for me is when I say myself, my relationship with my higher power, that I need to do things to work on the spiritual side.
Okay.
That when I say the spiritual, the mental health, like, when you go to the gym and you work out, you don't just go and work out once. It takes regular repetitions to remain, to be healthy and to be in shape. So I take a lot of, when I say a lot of time, I take a lot of, the word is there.
It's the tip of my tongue.
But and then
self-care,
children. I'm raising 4 children.
So one is kind of like self-care, I guess, and children.
Self-care, relationship with God, and serving in my community that pertains to that. That within my religious community, there's a lot of needs and a lot of things where I do step up and I do feel the different needs. My wife, I absolutely put my marriage above everything else. And children. But then, we were talking a little bit off air, me being ADD like I am.
Can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but let's jump in that a little bit.
So ADD, people look at it, and I think they have a false impression on it. Now, I didn't get diagnosed with ADD until I was an adult. And, it's funny, like you grow up and, people are like, your head's in the clouds. Why can't you focus? What's wrong with you? And you're like, I'm trying. Like,
yeah.
And there's a lot of unintentional abuse that happens to like ADD, children. And there's many of end up with like some major mental health challenges, alcoholic or drugs, or end up in jail or prison.
Yeah, you were mentioning that a lot of people in prison, they're usually like
ADD, and actually the other common thread is most of them come from fatherless households.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, if you are ADD, you are 200 times more likely to start your own business.
Yeah, you probably are.
Which made sense to me because I was 7 years old when I started my first business. I wanted to go mow lawns. My mom's like, no, I don't think anybody will hire you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if I can come up with a way that people will hire me, can I go and earn money? And she's like, well, sure. And I come back. I'm like, I'm going to go scoop dog poop.
Yeah.
She laughs at me, and my first day I earned $25, and
You're had money.
I had no idea what to do with it. I got conned out of it most of the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you're like a young entrepreneur back in because with your ADD.
Yeah, and you go. They did a study on CEOs who started their own corporations that had become super successful, and they earned like $40 million a year or more. And over 60% of them you would identify as being ADD or ADHD. And it affects about 6% of the population, regardless of race.
Yeah.
But they also say that ADD people were essential for mankind's survival. And where it comes from is our hunting and gathering days. The higher number of ADD people within a tribe, actually, the healthier the tribe was. And that's because we would be the first people to see the antelope silhouetted way off in the distance, or the first berries to ripen, or a twig snapping from a saber-toothed tiger stalking us.
Yeah. So it's like the survival of the fittest.
Yeah. So it's a sensory thing that you're always taking everything in, that you don't, there's as much as you want to filter things out, you can't. So the whole look squirrel thing, it's real. That's how our minds were programmed to be. And, my cousin actually really helped me understand it and really learn to actually love it, because I thought for the longest time that something was wrong with me. And, you can, if you break it down and say like 96% of the population are monkeys and 4% of the population are fish, as much as you want a fish to climb a tree, a fish will never climb a tree. A fish needs to do what it does best, which is swim. So where ADD people are actually really amazing in the corporate world, is that we are really, really good at anticipating things to come. So product development, like amazing. And where I think we pair really well is where we do have somebody who is extremely organized, with somebody with ADD that, they mesh really, really well together.
Yeah, that's very true. I usually mesh really good with somebody that's super organized, somebody that's like on time and like it's like planning things out. I'm meshing with you good because it's like they're able to organize our brains pretty much.
Organize and be like, that's not a good idea.
Or tell you when something is a bad idea. That too,
So and my wife is definitely that for me. That she absolutely keeps me grounded on.
You should have her take this test. It's called a 16 personality test, and I bet she's gonna be an INFJ.
So I don't know what that acronym is, but no, my wife, we are, personality-wise, we are totally opposite. Like, I love to learn with my hands. Like, I'm a tradesman. I can build a house from the ground up. I used to work on the wind turbine south of town. My wife is a mechanical engineer.
Oh, okay.
She is an amazing
that's
engineer.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, she can read a book and pick up that knowledge, and I will I like to learn different ways.
Yeah. I know you were talking about some of your hobbies was like gold mining and like panning for gold or something like that. I was like, that's so fascinating to me because I want to do that.
So yes, it was a recent one that my little brother actually got me into it. He asked me if I want to go and try gold panning with him, and it is a lot of fun. Like just right here at the Snake River by Centennial Park, you go behind one of the boulders, get some of the sand, and sift through it.
Yeah.
You will get some gold flakes.
Yeah, I want to do that.
So I do that. I love to paint. I like to commission paintings, especially for people who are going through hard times or challenging times. I do a lot of paintings for that.
Yeah.
I love to garden. I have a big garden. I used to be a beekeeper. I had like 14 bee colonies at one point in time.
Yeah.
But I love to collect coins. I love to learn.
Yeah.
And that probably, I'll definitely be putting some hobbies aside to run for city council.
You're gonna have to carve out like because I feel like my brain is too full of stuff, so I'm constantly having to make a decision on what do I keep and what do I delete. So I feel like you would have to be like, I need to delete some of this stuff so I have enough stuff for city council and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. Or you got to get really, really efficient with your time and how you do things, and really just comes down to what are the priorities that day.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's really cool. What makes you stand out from other candidates, I guess?
So what makes me stand out is I do have a very unique background that I've gone from losing absolutely everything, being a 22-year-old living underneath a bridge, and gone through just with the mental health that depression and having that's part of my family history. I call it the pond of suck, that there's nothing I did to deserve that. It's just something that's just there, and it's a part of me, and I do love that part of myself. But many of the people here in Twin Falls, have not gone to college. That they work, very, labor jobs, and struggle going from paycheck to paycheck. And I've been able to work through a lot of those different challenges. And I find with our political system that we tend to pull from, a very specific, kind of pool of candidates. I'm trying to think of the last candidate that we've had in office, whether it be Congress or local elections.
Yeah, somebody that's really stirred things up,
Well, you're your blue-collared person. And that is the perspective that I want to bring to the city council, is the blue-collar view that, these policies are when we're, raising our taxes, or when we're putting in these impact fees, that it might seem like a small amount, but when you are living from paycheck to paycheck, or the extra money that you have might be, none or $50 for the end of the month, like, it is a big deal when we do put things in place that do cost more money. And so I think I can really give a unique view, or that kind of perspective, to our city council. And I actually think if we had more blue-collared people, there in our Congress or Senate, that I think that would really, really be helpful, because a lot of the people in D.C. are very, very disconnected from, middle America.
How would you get? We slightly talked about trying to get the community involved. How would you try to get the community involved in the decision-making process? It's like we need a way to go ahead and see what the people want, essentially, but it be a fair system. Because, like I said, there's no way that 50,000 or 54,000 people can come into City Hall and be like, hey, we all as a group want to go ahead and do this. How would you make it so that people have a voice, I guess?
So my leadership style is you lead by example. That I would never do anything that I I wouldn't expect somebody else to do. So that's one. But two, and this is where it's kind of a blessing with the ADD, is that you naturally look for opportunities to engage. Now, with my campaign, I do have limited funds, and I have to be creative. So one of the things I've done, and a lot of people have seen me, is we have these big chicken suits.
Big chicken suits.
And we'll go to the intersections. I have my signs and stuff. And I'll wave.
So are you the guy that the other guy was talking about? Yeah. So the other candidate was saying, hey, there's this guy. I think I saw Hannah do this as well, too. I was heading out, and then she was at
She was at 5 points. Yeah.
And I was like, she's out there as well. This is a thing now. It's just kind of like people want to get their name out, essentially.
Yeah, and it provides a contrast. Now, what's been really cool is the engagement with the younger population, and this is what's really important to me, is how do we engage our younger voters and our younger, our next generation of leaders to be a part of, the political system. Now, there's a bunch of, high school kids that are like very excited and like they want to put the suits on and, be a part of it. While that might not seem like a big deal, but they're engaged.
Yeah.
So just out of the box thinking is really what I think is going to take. That we can't keep doing things how we are and expect different results.
Yeah, what's interesting? As I was like driving by 5 Points, I saw people approaching her and talking to her, and most likely asking her questions. Yeah, and it kind of gives you people driving by gives them an opportunity to go ahead and talk to you and come up and talk to you and so forth.
You know what's funny about that? I was actually going to go out there at 5 Points too. I had all my children that day. My wife had to go out of town, but I was actually going to be out there and do exactly the same thing Hannah Cameron was that day. But with that, I actually will be out there at 5 Points doing the same thing Hannah was, but I will be able to do that actually throughout this week so people can come up
and have a big sign say, ask me anything, I'm running for city council or something.
Do that, and I'm probably going to have a chicken that has a sign that says, if you don't vote, you don't get a balk, about it. Like,
that's definitely getting your, because so many people pass by 5 Points pretty much. And pretty much almost like quarter or half the population will go through 5 Points itself. So it's like a great way of having people, get your name out and so forth. So it's like, what else are you doing to go ahead and get the name word out? Because I know one guy was going door to door.
I've done some door to door. The challenge with going door to door is that you can only reach so many people. I mean, if I went out all day, I might hit 100 doors to be able to talk to 100 different people. And when it comes to politics, people actually do love to talk and have a conversation. So going door to door, it definitely requires that you start much, much earlier in the year. Now, I wasn't, as you learn, if I was to start my campaign over, I would certainly do, a lot of things differently as I have learned. Yeah. But the door-to-door actually needs to start about a year before.
Yeah, because by the time you get around to everybody and so forth, it's going to take a while. And then, they all need to kind of see where you stand on some stuff. Because everybody's going to have their questions like I have. Yeah. But the nice thing is the city's providing your guys' contact info. And if anybody wants to go ahead and send you an email, are you willing to go ahead and answer those questions to your best of your ability?
Yes, actually, and I have. My email is on the site. It's just msallred25@gmail.com. And I will answer your questions, and I will be honest with my views that I'm not going to try and say things just to make you vote for me.
You had the opportunity to do it right here. You just did it. It was like, fair enough. What kind of things have you seen people ask you? Is there anything that stands out or like a common thing that's like getting repeated?
I do think my campaign slogan is no mandates, only liberty. That, with the mandate side of things, the debate is, we're trying to keep other people from getting sick.
Yeah, like the whole COVID stuff.
And Ronald Reagan said it best, like when the government says, we're from the government and we're here to help. You should be terrified as hell.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was like, we're from the government. We're here to help. It's
But-
like, what?
But you actually look at all the information that's been coming out, and it has been very, very mixed. Essentially, the virus has been politicized.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our people in D.C. went wrong. They made this political.
Yeah.
But with the government, once they take power, they rarely give it up. Mm-hmm. That, we look at our like the founding of our country. The reason why we lost Canada is because the British government sent people with smallpox into, in and around our soldiers, and a bunch of them got sick, and we did not have the forces to actually fight there in Canada. So what George Washington did was the soldiers intentionally inoculated themselves, knowing that there was a 1 in 10 chance in dying. But that's what it took for our country to survive.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
And you look at the survivability rate of the coronavirus, and it's not going to go away. Viruses are very, very amazing. They're very resilient. They're not interested in killing themselves. They're interested in surviving. I mean, that's just the nature of organisms. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, like you had the Spanish flu, that one is actually kind of part of our common cold cycle.
Yeah.
So our bodies over time will build those natural immunities. And, I think the best thing we can do is, continue living our lives and just be responsible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people is what they're wanting to go ahead and do. So and again, as far as like getting the community in the decision process, it's like, would you say they need to come more to city council to voice their opinion on what they want? Like, so for example, like me, I just told you like, hey, I'm looking for the dog park and this event center to potentially happen. And it's like you need a bunch of people to go ahead and voice that opinion to kind of like sway you that way as well, essentially.
Well, I think a lot of people voicing their opinion, but that is important. Now, a great example of this is this is the first time I've ever heard anything about the dog park, right?
Yeah. I'm the leader of the dog park. I would say not the leader, but I would say like I'm trying to make change where I think change is needed, essentially.
And that's one like. You approach the Parks and Recreation director. And
for like 3 years.
If she has enough people that's saying like, hey, get this going. So you, as a community member, I would challenge you to go and talk to different people about this, about this concern, and have them, be a part of the cause.
Yeah.
With the, another example, kind of totally off the subject, but letting the people know exactly how we can help. So the Valley House, what a lot of people don't know is that is a private organization.
It's a nonprofit. I think it's kind of like for people that are homeless. Yeah. I didn't even know we had that as an option for people itself. There's not that many homeless people here compared to like Portland. I mean, like you used to live in Portland, right?
Yeah. They make it too easy, I think, to be homeless in Portland. I'm saying this from a guy who's been homeless and knows the struggles and the challenges of getting out of homelessness. Mm-hmm. And the Valley House is they had a similar program that it does require action for you to still be there and be a part of the program. Mm-hmm. And because it's a private organization, it has the ability to say, you know what, you're not doing your part, you got to go.
Yeah, so it's like I think they have some kind of rules where I think maybe you have to be looking for a job and maybe like coming back to the place at a certain time or so forth. I tried to help out this one homeless person, and the Valley House came to them and was like, listen, we can help you, just gotta, we'll take you in and so forth, but they didn't seem interested.
You just hit a key point that a lot of the, when I was homeless or when people are homeless, there's a reason why you end up in that situation, and it requires you to change what you are doing to get out of that situation. Mm-hmm. Now, the conversation I was having with the director of the Valley House, he was feeling a little frustrated that like the city wasn't helping, and I asked him like, have you given them a very specific way that they can help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like no. I'm like, the city council, they're very, very busy. They have so many hours in a day. I'm like, if you go with them and have a very direct request, I find that they will go out of their way to fill that request.
Yeah. So it needs to be more kind of like a direct request. But I've done that. I've said, here's a shelter. Here's a quote. How much a shelter would cost you? Take it out of your $1.2 million. Crickets.
Yeah. Well, what are you doing to engage your platform and your community?
That's what we're missing the ball is. I'm missing the ball of getting other people to go ahead and bug. I would almost gonna bug them. Yeah.
Well, and with that, I think that's kind of part of the problem is that we rely too much on the government to fix all of our problems. That private organizations in general, we are competing with the government, and people are getting very complacent.
Yeah.
And taking on that responsibility on that role of engagement. So one, I would challenge you to go and use this platform and your network of friends and community and get them involved with the process.
Yeah.
That that coalition, that's what's going to become the squeaky wheel and what's going to be heard.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I also think is important for people to know is, we as a community, we're very powerful as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even this whole graffiti thing that I was talking about in the beginning, right? People can report where graffiti is, and that would go to the code enforcement, and then it starts the process of getting it cleaned and so forth. The thing is, I just don't think people are educated about these processes and things like that. How would you try to make it
and that's
so
the
that
thing? What's the how? How do I get involved? How do I how do I go and make the report for the graffiti and go about that? And that's another place where I think I will be beneficial for the city council, that I will be asking a lot of hows and a lot of whys, and because I do have a lot of questions, and I love to learn and I love to know.
Yeah.
So having, a guy like me up there on city council, again, I think in many ways I represent the average person in the city that wants to know how.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Because like I said, I feel like with the knowledge, if people just had the knowledge and everybody was on board, people would be much more happy with how all of our things going. Even reporting some of the lines, like the faded outlines and so forth.
Yeah.
How do you report that? Who do you report it that?
Exactly.
Who do I report graffiti on bridges? Because the thing is, there's different types of graffiti. It could be on private property. It could be on city property. It could be on a bridge. That's different types of property. It's it's not an easy thing for people to figure out. And the thing is, people don't take the initiative to go ahead and say oh, that's how that works. And then it gets fixed and so forth. You know what I mean? So we just basically need to educate people is the main goal.
Educate, and then I do think we have natural organizers within our community, and identifying those people and giving them the opportunity to step up and do what they are naturally talented at. Yeah. And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You keep going. I had another question after that.
So, and that's another part where I think my background is, very beneficial. So I career-wise, I've run different kitchens for restaurants. As a barista, I've had several small businesses doing construction and different things like that. I become a people person. Yeah. And I think every person is a leader in their own way, that we each have our own strengths, and being able to naturally recognize that in people. So again, with finding those organizers or people with natural leadership capability, and you give them the opportunity to step up and shine. And I think we can make a lot of stuff like that happen.
People want to step up and help out the community itself. And like I said, with this app that we have, Keep Idaho Clean, there's a lot of people going around picking up trash, reporting where graffiti is. They want to go ahead and help. and it's just sometimes they don't know where all those we need to make it so that everybody that wants to help out can easily participate in things, I guess.
A really cool site with that, or there's a website, it's called justserve.org, and it is through the LDS church, but it's not like a religious indoctrination program, but it does have a list of different nonprofits within the local community that if people want to go up and volunteer somewhere.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. What's the website again?
Justserve.org.
Justserve.org. And it shows you all the nonprofits, and then you can potentially join those help out those nonprofits or reach out to them.
Or as a nonprofit, you can go and get your site up there and just get that known.
Yeah, that's cool. Very good information to kind of know. Let me ask you this question. People want cool stuff we want to be able to have a community where we do cool stuff. Is there anything that pops into your mind that you think the city is lacking or needs or so forth? And I'm not sure how much city council can go ahead and do that, because they're not they don't personally fund, businesses or so forth. But as general, do you think is there any service or something like that the city's missing?
I don't know if it's something that the city is missing. I think getting out of the way and, entrepreneurs who want to step up and they see that gap and want to fill it, that as a city, I think we should do everything we can to support businesses like that. There's one gal who came in at a city council meeting who I think she does one of the base jumping classes, and, she owns a publishing company, and she wanted to put a bookstore in, and sell local books at the airport. And as a councilman, I would do everything I can to support that individual in that endeavor, that, let's remove as many roadblocks as we legally are allowed to.
Yeah, so let's make it happen, basically. Yeah, because you want the common man to succeed, essentially. All right. Let me see. And then I had this other question. This is going back to some of my other podcasts. It's if you had just a $10 million budget grant, I'm here's $10 million, right? You can do anything with it to make Twin Falls a cooler place, or you do whatever you want with it. You can put it back in the streets. You can put it back in the water. I don't care. It's your $10 million, and you're going to be pitching your idea to city council, I guess, too, or whatever. So what would you say? What would you do with $10 million?
Well, my first, I'd probably be a little bit reluctant in that, what strings are tied to it.
What strings are attached? No strings attached.
No strings
on this
attached.
one.
But
I'm a wealthy investor. I'm giving you guys $10 million.
Now,
do with it what you want.
That's different than taking a
grant or something.
A grant from the government where we have this huge national debt and our children are going to have to pay for it. But
I'm a billionaire. I got $10 million.
Yeah, there you go. A billionaire gave our city, $10 million to do with it what we will.
Yeah.
I would actually invest it into, programs like the Valley House that the Valley House doesn't cost the city anything. And so they're actually saving us a bunch of money that they are taking care of a need. And, that's where I would put that money is what are the programs that are going to help people be, citizens be more independent and successful adults.
So you like putting the money in mental health is what you're really saying.
Mental health, programs like that. I would actually, I like the Boys and Girls Club. Programs that would, beyond the mental health, but things that actually help people become independent and, successful. So entrepreneurial programs. Yeah. If I could start an entrepreneurial program and, take these high school kids that
have ideas
and, teach them how to write a business plan and grant them the starting capital to start their business.
Yeah. And just imagine kids coming out I have this idea I want to do, and they could be a think tank or something like that. Yeah. And then you help them try to, give it a go, you know?
And
so
I think if you run a business, or you take on that responsibility, that your views will change, that you have a different understanding that, money doesn't come from nothing. It takes very hard work and very dedicated work. And I think we would quit. I find a lot of, in America, we demonize successful businesses instead of recognizing, successful business models.
Yeah. Sometimes, well, haters gotta, you know what, haters gotta hate or something. I don't know what the saying is. You know what I've realized is like once you get haters, that's when you know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
That's, I was like, oh, I'm getting haters. I love it.
Well, I was talking to some
like
kids.
fuel.
I was talking to some kids. So I was, with me being ADD like I was, I was actually bullied pretty heavily in elementary school, junior high school, and I mean, it was by the teachers. There was a lot of bullying, and you actually look at some of the most influential people and some of the strongest leaders, they became leaders because they thought differently and they did things differently from everyone else. And many of them actually experienced bullying. So I just totally lost my train of thought, but yeah,
that's fine. Like, so that's what happens. Yeah. So basically, you were saying that people in school, they're basically different, and you were bullied and so forth.
So and that just comes with thinking outside of the box. When you think differently, people are uncomfortable with change, and so when you are that change, people, you will always receive a lot of hesitation. And again, I like Dan Bongino. He brought up the story where a guy is standing up and dancing, and I like what he says. The bravest person is not the first person who started the movement. It's the second person who got up and joined them.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, because it's like the first person does it, and then it's like everybody's watching, and it's like
he's weird. Then the second person, and then everybody jumps in.
Yeah, it's the second person. You need the second person to jump in. That's interesting. And then as far as like affordable housing, do you think a city council can go ahead and do, because like we currently have a problem where like houses are through the roof.
Yes.
Nobody wants a job now. They don't want to go get into like a hard labor job or so forth. Do you see city council helping out with any of something like that, or having a plan of how to help something like that? Because I'm not sure city council can do too much about that.
No, the city council cannot do too much, but they can actually make the problem worse. And where I say that, just recently, the impact fees have dramatically increased.
Oh yeah, there is impact fees. I think Hannah was talking about the impact fees or something like that. So the impact fees are like kind of like fees that get taxed on businesses. Yeah,
businesses or new business development that. And the impact fees, the monies can only go to projects that have a lifespan longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
So you can't use impact fees to buy, say, like a police car, because it's not expected to last longer than 10 years. Now, the problem that our system is set up that we do rely on impact fees.
Yeah.
But the rate and how we have increased them, I think, was irresponsible.
You think we just shot up through the roof?
Shot up through the roof. They essentially, some of them had tripled.
Like what?
So the single family dwelling units for your median income, the impact fee was originally, I think, I want to say around $1,400, and that jumped up to like over $2,800.
That's a big impact.
Yeah, and again, when I was that cost is gonna transfer,
affect
and
you,
that's one
common man.
That's one part of the fee. So right now, when we're in a housing crisis, and materials are expensive.
Yeah,
that's one place where I think we could have been a little bit more responsible in how we increased it. Now, we do have to keep up with inflation. We do need. We do need to pay for those sewer lines. We do need to pay for the fire department that needs to service those homes. And actually, a lot of the park and recreation budget actually comes from those impact fees. And I did talk to the Builders Association about this, and it's not like they're not opposed to impact fees. That they understand that this is part of building a city, but how dramatically they went up, it caught them off guard. And they were like, when they talked to the council, they were like, well, basically we're doing it anyways. So one, being smart with our impact fees. Now, the other problem, cities that do affordable housing or subsidized housing, that actually artificially inflates or keeps the homes high because it's not the market value is not it's not adjusting because the government is artificially filling in that gap. Now, you made a comment that if somebody wants a house and they're not willing to do the job that will give them enough income to get that house, well, that's on the individual. That I went from being homeless and having nothing to I actually own one of my homes outright completely, no mortgage, and I rent it out extremely cheap to to a family to help them out, and I have a mortgage on my other home. But I had to change what I was doing and the type of jobs that I was working in order to afford it.
So it kind of comes to the individual as well, wanting to do this. It's like you can't expect to get a house and not take on some jobs and so forth, pretty much.
But it is harder to find, opportunities within, the medium income in our city to be able to afford a house, because we do have a lot of outside money coming in and buying homes. We have a lot of people who have sold homes in California, their rental properties, and bought rental properties out here in Twin Falls. So it's just kind of the nature of our city and the livability of our city that we're going to grow. So I think the solution is the builders, that there's a huge demand and huge need, and the free markets, using that, if we can build more homes and fill that need, I think it will
get things back on track itself. If we have more builders. I've been saying that. It's like, we need more builders. Is there anything we can, city council can do to go ahead and attract builders? Because I know they have like an economic development department, and they put some money into that as well. So like, what would be something that I guess city council could be like, hey, let's
I think the builders are actually doing everything that they can as quickly as areas that are being identified and being set up, and lots have become available, that they are sold, like almost instantly. So the city, I think everyone is doing everything they can to fill that need. And there's not much more we can do. Just let's keep the fees down, let's keep the cost down for the builders, because that will transfer on to the home buyer, and realize that builders aren't making millions of dollars, a bunch of money off of each home. That there is a lot of builders or people who get into it actually go out of business, because it's really easy to lose a lot of money in building a home.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're approaching like an hour and a half, so I'm like, geez, I feel like we could keep going, but we gotta need to stop. I probably need to go. So, anyways, what would you say? Like, you have any final words of like, why should anybody vote for you? Like, how do people like this is kind of like your closing off. Do you have anything else you want to go ahead and say that we haven't like talked about? Like, what do you want? Is there something that you think we've missed here? So
I think we've definitely hit a wide variety of
we
products
went all over
or not products, subjects. And each of us, each person, we each have our own different, unique things about us, and we're all very complicated creatures. Now, one, get to know your different city council candidates. That much of us, we do have a lot of similarities in our platform. I will definitely bring a much more creative perspective and your non-traditional perspective to the city council. That my life does represent somebody who knows what it's like to come from nothing to come from very, very challenges, where it creates a great level of resilience to survive and work through these different challenges, and that I very much so incorporate into my leadership style. Now the other part is that with our with the city, these off-year elections, that we have a very low voter turnout.
Yeah, somebody was telling me 5,000 people come out to vote. Best case scenario for you to win is like you get like 1,500 votes.
Yeah, and if you do not like what's going on in our city and you have not voted, you are part of the problem.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm doing this, because I want them to be educated on who the best candidate is.
So be a part of the solution. Get out there and vote. And, really vote with that person that you think will represent you the best. That if I was to lose my campaign to one of the different people running for seat 5, I really wouldn't be disappointed in that. They are great people.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried, but go out and vote. Go find out who your candidates are. Don't just circle a random name.
That's
informed.
That's exactly the whole purpose of this. Is like try to be informed, so that way you know exactly who you're picking and align yourself up with the best person that represents you, your values, and what they stand for as well. And again, the best way, I feel like, because a lot of times, somebody watching this video might be like, well, Arnell missed the question. Why didn't he ask this?
Yeah.
You know what? You have an opportunity right now to go ahead and email him and ask him any question you want.
Exactly. And I will be out campaigning pretty hard this week. So, if you see, look for the chicken suits.
Chicken suits. That just blows my mind.
Well, it stands out.
It stands out. Yeah, if it works, it works.
So, come up. I love to answer any questions. I would definitely consider myself a bridge builder, that I do appreciate different points of view. I have people on very much on the opposite side of the political spectrum as I am, that will absolutely go out and campaign for me and, vote for me. That it's not about, I'm a genuine person. I'm not going to say things just to get you to like me.
Perfect. All right. I think that's perfect. That's all I really needed from you. And I think we're going to call it good. It was very nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you for having me out.
Again, I'm so happy that I got everybody from seat 5 now. So if you really want to know who all of the other candidates is, you can literally watch an hour and a half or something like that on each of these candidates and have a marathon. I don't know. Watch them all. All right. Well, thanks for coming down here. And it was very nice meeting you. All right, perfect. I think we got it.